Perfect. Thank you. Those are our first two bullets, and those are our learning objectives for this module. I know that there are others in the workbook, but that will come a little later on. So when we look at, how many people have actually heard of Peter Drucker? Oh, quite a few, obviously. Excuse me 1 minute, I'm grabbing this workbook. So Peter Drucker is actually a pretty world-renowned, famous consultant on management practices. You know, he's written the book. He's written many books. Peter Drucker passed away in 2005, but he left behind numerous publications. He's written many, many books on sound management principles and processes. And it didn't matter whether Drucker was working with large Fortune 500 companies or whether he was working with small grassroots nonprofit organizations. His teachings were much the same. And what Drucker did was he asked 5 simple questions. And those questions you will see right here. What is our mission? Who is our customer? What does the customer value? What are our results? And what is our plan? They sound like 5 very simple questions, but they are truly very meaningful. And they help us to get to the heart of good business practices. So we're going to be talking a little bit more about that. And you will see that Drucker's teachings are kind of threaded throughout our ROMA module, and you'll hear a little bit more about Drucker going forward. But when we ask the question about mission, understanding our mission, we all have mission statements, every organization. Okay? It defines why we exist, why are we in business, what results are we trying to achieve. Okay? We learned from Jess in the first module about the history of community action, and our purpose. Purpose was assisting families and individuals to become self-sufficient, to mobilize public and private resources to make the entire community more responsive to the needs and interests of the poor, and to bring about greater institutional sensitivity to poverty. If I could ask somebody on page 14, there's a quote about in the middle of the page, a quote from Peter Drucker. If somebody wouldn't mind reading that quote, Karen's got the marker. Thank you, Karen.
Each social sector institution exists to make a distinctive difference in the lives of individuals and in society. Making this difference is the mission, the organization's purpose, and the very reason for being. A mission cannot be impersonal. It has to have deep meaning, be something you believe in.
Terrific. Be something we believe in. Mission is something that should be, also Drucker teaches us, that something that should be sharply focused and really communicate clearly why we exist. What is it that we do? What's our purpose? It could be a soundbite, and more importantly, it could be something that is short, sharply focused, and you could wear it on a t-shirt or the back of a business card. Better yet. But one of the things we want to do when we understand mission statements is that there are 4 key elements that should be included in a good sound mission. They include population. Who are we serving? Low-income people, poverty, people with special needs. What is the population? They should include services. What do we provide? Social services, human services, educational services. They should also include outcomes. Outcomes, self-sufficiency, independence, ready to learn, and perhaps a relationship. Are we doing this in collaboration or in partnership with other agencies in the community? So those 4 key elements are really important in a good, sound mission statement. So what I'd like to do is a little activity with folks. There's actually 2 activities in your workbook. We are going to do one. And the activity is on page 16 of your workbook, reviewing mission statements. I have included these mission statements. I've written 3 here on this flip chart, and I'm going to pass out sample mission statements to folks. There we go. We're going to work in groups. Each table is a group, okay? So there's a sample mission statement here, and here, and here. The mission statements that we're going to be looking at are actually 1, 3, and 5. I just randomly picked a few. Yeah, thank you. So what we want to do in this exercise, the purpose of this exercise is now to sort of, I'd like each group to brainstorm for about 5 or 6 minutes and see if in mission number 1, which is to advocate for, support, and train CSBG-funded agencies utilizing our collective strength to eradicate poverty. That's the first mission statement. By the way, in case you're wondering, these are actual mission statements of organizations, okay? I didn't make this up. So we're going to look at number 1 first and see if each group can find the 4 key elements within the first mission statement. So do a little brainstorming exercise. And we're going to review 3. So about 5 minutes. Number 1.
We're here and you get funded, and we're yeah, you need to
There you go. Even within a actual agency, you won't know.
I'm going to just clarify the instructions. So we are going to review 3 mission statements today. They're numbers 1, 3, and 5 on your sheet. They match what's up here on the flip chart. So if you just spend, a few more minutes brainstorming to see if you can identify the 4 key elements of a good mission statement in the 3 mission statements that we are going to review.
I'm like, wait a minute, let me
Describe
Partnerships. Right, I think that's what your organization should be. Just agency or to get others to involve to help assist I think these are just partial. This is a partial part of them. They've just built that relationship. Yeah, because it's very specific. So we think this is so the question is, did she not say they were actually? She did say they are. Yeah, I guess
They say that it does.
Okay, we got maybe just 1 or 2 more minutes, and we'll be ready to review.
that's well.
Mechanisms. Got a lot of them. Yeah, we want one, yeah. I had to get a lot of. Oh, I was just thinking. I've lost control. Yeah, exactly. You want to manage me, okay? This is a London.
It's still a little vague. That's true. That's
Almost ready?
right. So there's going to
Folks ready? 2 minutes.
I'm sure
so we can
Okay, how we doing? Thanksgiving. Slides still working? Okay, thank you. Ready, everyone? All right. So, in our first mission statement, come along here so I can, to advocate for, support, and train CSBG-funded agencies utilizing our collective strength to eradicate poverty. Is there anybody that can tell me what the population is? Did we find all 4 key elements in this mission statement? We did. Okay, so let's start with population. Who's the population here?
CSBG-funded agencies.
Right. Blue. That is correct. How about our relationship?
Utilizing our collective strength.
Our collective strength, that's correct. Very good. That's the smart table. What about services? We have services? Support, train, advocate for? That's right. Okay. We're going to use a different marker to highlight each of these areas. And finally, outcome. Is there an outcome that we can see here? Very good. Very good. Eradicate poverty, that's our outcome. So, this mission statement, this very first one, has all 4 key elements of a good mission. It's got a population, which is the CSBG-funded agencies. It's got services, which is to advocate for, support, and train. It's got outcomes, which is to eradicate poverty. And it also has a relationship, which is our collective strength. Okay?
Peggy, I'm having a hard time understanding how CSBG-funded agencies is the population.
You have to qualify for it.
Because we are supporting and training CSBG funding agencies. They're the target
So
population.
this isn't a community action.
No, this is probably Roma.
This is
State.
the CSBG office mission, okay? But you did great. You got all 4. Now the trick is, how about the rest of them? I've got 2 more to get through, and we want to see, how, did these mission statements that were listed here provide all 4 of these key elements? So the next one, number 2, is creating solutions to poverty, improving lives in our community.
Very vague.
Very vague, yeah. I agree. What else? What does it sound like to you? Does it sound like a tagline more than a mission statement? Yeah, that's exactly right.
But it could fit on the back of the business.
Yeah, that's right.
And yes, it could. So as far as population, we might assume that it means individuals in poverty, but, improving lives in our community, what does that mean? It really is quite vague. The service could be creating solutions, but again, that's also very vague. The relationship here, is there one? Do we see any relationship at all? No.
Community?
That's the
I don't think community really, a community could be, but
Well, if collective strength is it in the previous one, why wouldn't our community be in that one?
collective strength is a little bit of a stretch, and I will give you that. But at least we said vague.
We didn't like that.
But, seriously, this is really more of a tagline We have a tagline here, you know, building communities and changing lives. And that sounds kind of similar to a tagline. Okay. And lastly, number 3, to propose, implement, and advocate developmental and human service delivery programs for socially and economically disadvantaged children and families. Do we see a population there identified? That's right. That's right. So the population is socially and economically disadvantaged children and families. How about an outcome here? Do we see an outcome? No. We see no outcome, correct? I don't see one. How about services? Do we see a service here? We do. And what might the service be? Right. Propose, implement, and advocate developmental and human service delivery programs, right? And lastly, what about relationships? Is there any relationships there? Nada. That's right. You guys are really smart. You're right. So, you know, just to keep in mind about mission statements, they are, it is really important to have a good mission statement that contains all 4 of those key elements and those components. It's also contingent upon leadership of any organization, and when that means everybody in this room, to ensure that everybody, our volunteers, our board members, and our staff all know the mission, understand the mission, and live by the mission, because that is our reason for existing. Okay, the mission is the foundation upon which we build everything that we do. So we have now begun to build our logic model, and I'm going to put a little sticky here. Excuse me one moment. Thank you. The mission goes on our logic model. We're going to place it right here. Okay? Why would we place it there? Anybody? Abby?
All of those activities should be supported on this.
Exactly right. Because the mission is the foundation of everything else that we do. And it is placed right here as the foundation of the logic model. Okay? So, what we're going to do now is just talk a little bit more about mission change or mission drift. Sometimes agencies can get into some trouble when they drift away from their original purpose, but sometimes agencies need to change their mission because what they are doing is no longer relevant to the work that they're doing, you know. It's really, really critically important for every agency to review your mission periodically. Some folks say annually, some folks say every 3 years or every 5 years. But anytime there is a change in program, if we lose programs, if we add new programs, it's really, really important to make sure that we take a look at the mission and make sure that we're supporting the mission, that what we've added to the agency aligns with the mission and the work that we do. Okay? Anytime there's any significant changes, whether, you know, it's economic changes or demographic changes, anytime there's changes within the community, we need to take a look at our mission and reevaluate it and make sure that we are aligned. there is, when does the mission change occur? Okay, there are two organizations, and you'll see in your workbook on page 19 that the March of Dimes is a great example of a mission that has changed. There, if I forget one person, where's the marker? All right, Leanne, would you mind just in the center of the page on page 19, what was the original mission of the March of Dimes?
March of Dimes. The original mission of the March of Dimes was to eradicate polio.
That's right, to eradicate polio. And what happened is they actually achieved that mission. They succeeded in doing that. And so they had to reinvent themselves. They took a look at what, you know, what their purpose is now. And they came up with a new mission. Today their mission is improve pregnancy outcomes and reduction and elimination of birth defects through education and research. The YWCA is another example of an organization that actually changed their mission. Can I get somebody to tell us what the original mission of the YWCA was? Connie?
The original mission of the YWCA was to provide housing, recreation, and a faith-based community center for young people.
That's right, that's right. And the YWCA changed its focus over the years. They reevaluated their mission, and they came up with a new mission. Their new mission is the elimination of racism, empowering women and promoting peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all by providing safe places for women and girls, building strong women leaders, and advocating for women's rights and civil rights in Congress. So there's a couple of examples of organizations that actually changed the direction in which they were moving. They changed their mission. The other part of this is called mission drift. Mission drift is something that happens when an organization departs a little bit from its original purpose, okay? Takes on something that really doesn't quite align with its original mission, and it's not directly in support of the mission of the organization. Sometimes we have a wonderful funding opportunity that might come about, and it's a lot of money. And boy, can't we all use a lot of money to do some good work. But we really have to look at, does this activity, does this new program align with the mission of the organization? And if it doesn't, we have to be strong, and we have to say, no can do. No can do. So, in the page 20 of your workbook, there's one grayed area in the center of the page. Would somebody mind just reading that for me?
When in doubt?
Yes, when in doubt.
When in doubt, whether to head off into another direction because a donor suggested or a foundation grant opens up a new avenue. Analyzing the new direction activities in relationship to the mission statement will help you stay on course.
That's right. Again, we cannot be tempted. You know, the mission is the basis of every decision that we make in our agency. And finally, I'm going to leave you with another quote from Drucker, and what he tells us is, defining the nonprofit mission is difficult, painful, and risky, but it alone enables us to set goals and objectives and to get to work. Unless the mission is explicitly expressed, clearly understood, and supported by every member of the agency, the enterprise is at the mercy of events. Decision makers throughout will decide and act on a basis of different, incompatible, and conflicting ideas. They will pull in opposing directions without even being aware of their divergence, and performance is what will suffer. So, one example I want to share with you about Mission Drift is Sears, the Sears Company. We know that Sears is famous for Kenmore appliances. Sears is famous for its craftsman tools. But Sears also took on a couple of new enterprises. They bought out Kmart for one thing, and they also bought out Land's End. We know that as clothing, companies. And it began to erode some of the fine work that they were doing. They deviated from their mission a little bit. So, that's just another example of somebody that drifted away from their original purpose, and we need to be mindful of that. So I just reviewed a very few key points that we talked about in this module. The successful implementation of ROMA must follow a conceptual framework established by the organization and indicated by a strong mission statement. The results orientation is reflected in the mission statement. Missions and ROMA reinforce the concept that the principles and practices that we know as ROMA are part of generally accepted management processes. I use that term when we write grants a lot, when we refer to our fiscal capacity as using generally accepted accounting principles. Penny knows that. And ROMA is a tool that provides generally accepted management principles. Non-profit agencies are mission-driven agencies. We are not profit-driven. We know that the mission statement should address two central themes. Why are we in business? Why do we exist? And what results are we trying to achieve? Our mission should be short and very sharply focused, but contain those 4 key elements that we talked about earlier. It should be dynamic, and it should be reviewed periodically, especially if we add or drop programs. We might have a mission change. And the mission should be reviewed to see if we're drifting away from its original purpose. And again, here is the mission which provides the foundation of everything else that we do. And that's why it's placed here in the logic model. So that wraps up this module on mission. And I think we're about to take a little break of 10 minutes or so. Does anybody have any questions before we move into the break? Anything?
I have a question. What happens if like a program is, like, for example, like schooling does private pay? Would that be a cause for a mission change where there's private paying and like private paying? Does that make more?
Well, again, I think that we want to look at the mission as being an outcome-driven statement. We want to make sure that those 4 key elements are there. If, in fact, regardless of where the funding sources come from, if the activity, the program itself, continues to align with the work of the agency, the purpose of the agency, the mission of the agency, then I don't see any reason for change. But thanks. Good question. All right, so we're going to take a little break, and when we come back, Tina will be doing our next one.
You know,
Thank you.